Welcome to this week's edition of Oregon Minute. Each week, OCA Media features a guest or community leader who shares information on topics important to you, our listeners and viewers. New weekly episodes are broadcast on our cable channels as well as on demand through our YouTube channel. Visit ocamedia.com for more information.
The Oregon Minute is brought to you with financial support from friends of OCA Media and viewers like you. Thank you.
Welcome to another episode of the Oregon Minute. I'm your host, Tom Kirchdoerfer. Today we'll be discussing the Oregon Athletic Booster Club. This group's been very active for many years here in Oregon, but unless you've recently had a student athlete in your family, you may not have heard a lot about it. So to talk about the Oregon Athletic Boosters, we've invited Shawn Gahagan, president of the Oregon Athletic Boosters. Shawn, welcome to the Oregon Minute.
Thank you so much, Tom. I appreciate your time and look forward to the chat here today on the Booster Club.
So let's start with a little bit about you to start with. So tell us a little about your role in this organization and what you do, and a little bit why you've had an interest in this.
Okay. Well, first of all, I've been on the Booster Club for about 10 years now. Started out when my son was a freshman, basketball player and football player back in the day, and volunteered to be a part of the Boosters. About 5 years ago, I became president of the Booster Club, and it's just been a wonderful experience. Great people, volunteers, and just trying to help the Oregon athletic community in the sports programs that we serve.
You have a little more connection to athletics than just the average person too, don't you?
Well, a little bit. I mean, I played sports growing up, but professionally here, I'm the president of a media company, and one of our brands here is Athletic Business. You can see here behind me where we actually had the Oregon Gym on the cover of the magazine once. So it's a media brand in the athletic, recreation, and fitness industries. And yeah, it's been a part of my life, my entire professional life. And certainly is something that I hope I bring to the table with the Booster Clubs too, is that experience in athletics.
So let's talk about the Booster Club a little bit more specifically. What's the Oregon's goals? What's its purpose? What are we trying to accomplish with the Booster Club?
Well, on a real simple, stage, we're raising money and spending money on Oregon student athletes, and that's always a fun thing, but ultimately, as far as our mission goes, the biggest mission is to provide monetary support to the Oregon Athletic Department, promote sportsmanship, leadership, teamwork, and ultimately investing in the athletic programs to help them stay competitive and provide our student athletes with the equipment, gear, support they need to really have a positive experience with OHS sports and athletics.
So pretty much everybody who's going to be watching this, lives in the area, or they're going to be cheering for the Oregon student athletes. But who do you see are the individuals who should take that extra step and become a booster?
Well, I mean, certainly anyone who's got a child who's playing sports in the district is number one. We're always looking for ways to support our kids as they go through, their high school years, and they're involved with these great programs. So obviously, first and foremost is parents. And, as far as support goes, whether that's volunteering or becoming a member, there's a lot of different ways you can get involved with the boosters. But so, as far as we'll take anybody, of course, but ultimately the majority of our team, our board, and our members are current parents of student athletes.
Okay. You mentioned a board there. How is the Oregon Athletic Board assembled? How does that come together?
Well, the board itself is made up of 3 board officers, and then we've got a parent rep. We try to have a parent rep for each varsity and club sport at OHS. So that would be about 25, 26 parent reps that are involved in the board. We like to have, like I said, sometimes we go a year or two without a certain sport represented, but we're always trying to recruit new people. But ultimately it then gives a voting piece to every single sport, whether it be a varsity or a club sport.
So if a parent is interested as far as what's the commitment then when they get on the board? What's the expectation for the board members?
Well, it's a 1-year commitment, although we do have a lot of people who have been on the board like myself for many, many years. We meet once a week. There's some expectations on working concessions. There's recruiting, being a liaison. The big thing is being the liaison between the coach and the athletic department and being an advocate for the sport that you're representing, so that we understand what are their needs, what do they need, what do they want to help them and their programs continue to compete at the level that they need.
So when you were talking about recruiting there, you have to sort of recruit your board members almost every year then, when you kind of reorganize that board every year almost as far as the athletes go through.
We do, but we have a lot of parents who stick with it and are board members for many years because their kids are on, maybe they come in when their child's a freshman or a sophomore, and they'll stay on until graduation. And so oftentimes, as we know, many families have several kids that play sports, and we've got plenty of our parent rep volunteers who have, 1 year they're representing the boys basketball team, and then 2 years later they're back on the board representing the girls swim team. So it's a great group, and we do find that people do come back and they do stay on for quite a while, because again, it's fun. We're raising money for kids, and we're just looking to raise that money and spend it on the programs and the kids.
So I recall last year there was OCA did a video thanking the boosters, and the student athletes we had on it were thanking for things like I think it was a scoring table and some other things. What are some of your recent projects that the boosters have been involved in?
Yeah, well, we do a lot. Over the last 5-6 years, we've spent over $150,000 on the OHS athletic programs and student athletes. So, a few that come to mind right now, we made a large donation to the construction of the new baseball and softball batting cage that's out at Huntoon. We recently bought new parkas and team jackets for both the boys and girls swim teams. The stuff that they were wearing was almost 20 years old. Some new team jackets for the girls softball team, those are going to be debuting here in the spring. New warm-ups and headgear for the wrestling program. Another thing, the wrestling uniforms and warm-ups that they had were really old and outdated. Annually we have 4 $1,000 scholarships that we provide to senior student athletes. So there's just a few examples of some of the things that we provide. And, we're a singular booster club. There's a lot of other communities who may have football has their own booster club and baseball has their own booster club or whatever it is. Here at Oregon, we have a collective booster club so that we benefit all sports based on whatever they need for their individual programs.
Yeah, it would make sense that this year this sport needs a little more support, next year a different sport. So it's great that you pull that together and you don't have that I'm only going to worry about my support. It sounds like a really good idea for you guys.
Well, we like to think it is. So it's worked well here in Oregon, and it's been successful, and the community has supported it, and we're just continuing looking for new people to join and to be a part of it.
So there was a mention there of money, which got my interest.
Yep.
Where does the money come from?
Well, we basically have kind of 3 legs to our revenue generation, right? And that comes from concession stands at many of our home sporting events. We do some special fundraising events throughout the year. Our biggest one being our annual golf outing that we hold every August. And then thirdly is our corporate sponsorship programs, which have over the last 4 or 5 years have really taken off. And we've got great sponsors within the community. We've got several different levels where companies and local businesses can help support the Booster Club with their donations. So that's kind of like the 3 legs to our revenue.
Sure. So we've talked about getting involved and learning more about the athletic boosters. How would people go about doing that?
Well, certainly the easiest way is to go to our go to our website, OregonBoosters.com. But as far as getting involved, there's a number of things, sign up to be a member. Of course, there's that member revenue generation too, that I failed to mention. Volunteer to work concessions or working at our events, support through our corporate sponsorships. If you're a local business owner, participating in our events, like I mentioned, like the golf outing. These are all ways you can get involved and be a part of it. And then if you've got a child who's playing a sport, we do have some open sports. I don't have the list of them in front of me, but you can go to our website and see who our current board members are and which sports we're still looking for a parent rep to represent.
I recall when my family was going through the Oregon high school, and I spent a lot of time in that concession booth, and you really bond when you're in that group. You became pretty good friends with the people you were there, and those are a lot of relationships that I value still, and that's a great opportunity, and people should look for those.
It really is. And, the way that we run concessions now is, we're always looking for help, because what we find is, just like anything else in life, is, 20% of the people are doing 80% of the work. And our board members are really the ones that are doing the heavy lifting. And we invite other parents to be involved. And working concessions is easy and it's fun. And like you said, you can make connections. We ask each sport to work 2 concession stands per season. So it's really not that much, but we do find it is the same people. So we encourage anyone who wants to help to reach out to us on OregonBoosters.com. And we'd love to have your help in those concession stands and at our events. Absolutely.
Yeah, they can be a lot of fun. So maybe just in closing here, what's the key message you'd like to leave with our listeners about the Oregon Athletic Booster Club?
Well, the biggest message being, there's hundreds of student athletes at Oregon High School, and the Booster Club, we exist simply to help them in their programs with their needs to compete, help them represent our community in a positive way, and ultimately, help them make their experience with OHS sports a success. So being a part of this group has really been impactful in my life. I've met really great people. We kind of get siloed sometimes, and just knowing the parents of the sports that our kids play, being a part of the boosters, you get to know parents and kids of all our kids know each other, but meeting these new parents and being involved in a group that's, like I said earlier, simply raising money to spend money on our student athletes, and the smile on their face that they get when they're parading out in their new uniforms and their new warm-ups, they love it. And providing the equipment and the facilities that we have here are great. So being a part of it it's pretty special, and I've enjoyed it. And I encourage anyone who wants to check us out again at OregonBoosters.com. And we're always looking for help.
It's a great group. I hope we get to a few people, more people to join you and help you. We really appreciate you joining us on this week's episode of the Oregon Minute. I want to thank you for all the support you've provided to the student athletes in our community. We really look forward to that continuing of that support for all of our student athletes. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, well, thank you too. And I thank you and Paul and the whole team at OCA Media for all the support that you give to the community. Especially on the athletic side, we greatly appreciate all the events that you cover here in Oregon. It's a huge asset. And I know a lot of our parents and grandparents who sometimes when they can't travel to the games and stuff, it's really important for them. And you guys do such a great job. So thank you for the support you give the community as well.
Well, I appreciate that. Thanks again, Shawn.
All right. Thank you so much.
That wraps up another episode of the Oregon Minute. Tune in each week to hear from our community leaders and the organizations in the Oregon area. If you have comments or suggestions for episodes, we'd love to hear from you. Please contact us at ocamedia.com. Thanks for watching.
You're watching OCA Media, your Oregon Community Access Station.